Mariner Books and HarperAudio present Murder the Truth, Fear, the First Amendment, and a Secret Campaign to Protect the Powerful, by David Enrich. Read by Michael David Axtell. To Liza and Nicholas. A freshening stream of libel actions, which often seem as much designed to punish writers and publications as to recover damages for real injuries, may threaten the public and constitutional interest in free and frequently rough discussion. Judge Robert Bork, concurring opinion in Ullman v. Evans, 1984. Author's Note. I am biased. I've been a journalist my entire adult life. I believe in my profession's fundamental mission, to inform the public and hold the powerful to account. And based on my experience, I believe that most journalists, though we are by no means immune from mistakes, try to live up to that mission. Yet I recognize that not everyone agrees with me, and I have done my best in this book to understand and fairly portray these opposing perspectives. This book is based on a variety of sources. I interviewed more than 200 people, including lawyers, judges, journalists, lawmakers, activists, and those whose reputations were harmed by what they perceived as false or unfair articles, books, and other published statements. I reviewed thousands of pages of court documents and obtained hundreds of pages of other materials through public records requests. And I relied on the previous work of countless journalists, academics, and others in newspapers, magazines, websites, books, podcasts, and elsewhere. Except in cases of people who spoke to me on a not-for-attribution basis, I have detailed my sources at the end of the book. I tried to talk to everyone who is featured in this book. A few, told that I was working on a book about legal threats and intimidation, threatened to sue me, as I describe in more detail in the epilogue. But most agreed to speak openly about their views and experiences. I am grateful for their help. Prologue. A Panicked Phone Call. Guy Lawson was in his office, surrounded by books, notepads, and stacks of files yellowing with age, when one of his teenage daughters called in a panic. It was a warm, breezy evening in June 2017, and the sun was gliding down toward the Catskill Mountains and the Hudson River, due west of Lawson's cluttered workplace. He and his wife had moved to upstate New York nearly a decade earlier. Art galleries, clothing boutiques, and locavore cafes lined his village's leafy streets. Lawson, whose office was above a bright purple storefront peddling pricey bath soaps, knocked the neighborhood as twee. But he and his wife had twin girls, and the family had needed to escape the exorbitance of New York City. Lawson was a magazine writer, his wife an entrepreneur. Neither had enjoyed a particularly smooth career trajectory. Lawson was, as he put it, an old-school, anti-authority, punk journalist whose mission was holding corrupt motherfuckers to account. He had a bit of a temper and could be impulsive, and for a while, after getting fired from an early job, he'd lived in a crash pad frequented by junkies in Montreal. Once, someone stole virtually his entire wardrobe, which he had to replenish at a charity shop that sold clothes by the pound. Now, though, Lawson and his wife, Maya Kaimal, were thriving. They'd recently purchased and renovated a beautiful Victorian-style house built in 1895 with a white widow's walk on top and a towering ginkgo tree out front. Kaimal's eponymous Indian food business was booming. And 2 years earlier, Lawson had published his third book, Arms and the Dude. Part hard-hitting exposé, part fast-paced yarn, it was the true story of 3 Miami stoners who had become international arms traffickers, supplying the Pentagon with ammunition for its war in Afghanistan. Much of the action was set in Albania, where Lawson had once been embedded as a war correspondent, and which had become an ideal venue for arms dealers, thanks to its loosely controlled stockpiles of surplus weaponry. The country struck Lawson as corrupt and borderline feudal, a land where
Sample complete. Ready to continue?